Every relationship begins with hope. Two people come together with excitement, dreams, and the promise of love that lasts. But as time passes, many relationships stumble, not because of a lack of love, but because of underlying psychological weaknesses. These weaknesses often hide in plain sight. They start small, then grow into patterns that erode trust, intimacy, and respect. In this video, we'll uncover 5 psychological weaknesses that quietly destroy relationships, how they play out in daily life, and what you can do to protect yourself from them. 1. Insecurity, the silent saboteur. Insecurity is one of the most destructive forces in a relationship. It shows up in jealousy, constant questioning, and the need for reassurance that never seems satisfied. A partner who feels insecure might text repeatedly to check in, worry that you'll leave them for someone else, or compare themselves to every friend or colleague in your life. At first, insecurity can feel like affection. It may seem sweet when someone says, "I just don't want to lose you." But over time, insecurity turns into suffocation. The insecure partner begins to control who you see, where you go, and how you live, all in an attempt to soothe their own fears. Ironically, that very control often pushes the relationship toward collapse. Insecurity ruins relationships because it erodes trust. Instead of being a bond built on confidence, the relationship becomes a prison of doubt. A healthy partnership requires breathing room. Without self-confidence, love becomes a kite rather than a choice. The antidote? Building self-esteem outside the relationship. Each person must learn to feel secure within themselves, rather than expecting constant validation from their partner. When love grows from strength rather than fear, insecurity loses its grip. 2. Poor communication, words left unspoken. Another weakness that silently destroys relationships is poor communication. Many couples never learn how to talk honestly and effectively. They bottle up emotions, avoid difficult conversations, or resort to sarcasm and blame instead of expressing needs directly. Imagine a couple arguing over household chores. One partner sighs loudly while doing the dishes, waiting for the other to notice their frustration. The other ignores it, or worse, assumes the silence means everything is fine. Over time, small resentments pile up into walls of silence. Poor communication doesn't just cause fights. It creates distance. Partners begin to feel unseen, unheard, and misunderstood. That emotional disconnect often hurts more than any single argument. Good communication isn't about never disagreeing. It's about disagreeing constructively. Couples who listen without interrupting, who validate each other's feelings, and who focus on solutions instead of blame create stronger bonds. When communication is weak, even love cannot survive the misunderstandings it leaves behind. 3. Lack of emotional regulation, when feelings control the relationship. Emotions are powerful, but when they control behavior unchecked, they can ruin even the strongest connection. A partner who explodes in anger, withdraws into silent treatment, or crumbles at every conflict makes the relationship unstable. Emotional regulation is the ability to feel deeply without being consumed by feelings. In relationships, it means expressing anger without cruelty, sadness without manipulation, and stress without shutting down. When this skill is missing, conflicts escalate quickly. Small issues like being late to dinner or forgetting an errand turn into full-blown battles. Lack of regulation also creates fear. One partner may start walking on eggshells, afraid of triggering an outburst. Instead of intimacy, the relationship becomes a minefield. Over time, both partners lose their sense of safety. The truth is, love can't flourish where emotions are weapons. Stability is attractive. Consistency is comforting. Learning to pause, breathe, and communicate feelings calmly can transform chaos into connection. Without it, the emotional roller coaster eventually breaks the bond, or the fear of vulnerability, walls that keep love out. Love requires vulnerability. It means opening your heart, showing your true self, and trusting that your partner will accept you. But many people struggle with this. They fear being judged, rejected, or abandoned. So instead of opening up, they build walls. Fear of vulnerability shows up as emotional distance. A partner might avoid deep conversations, laugh off serious topics, or change the subject when feelings arise. They may show affection physically, but never express love verbally. To the other person, this feels like rejection, even if love is present. The tragedy is that the fear meant to protect actually destroys connection. Without vulnerability, intimacy cannot grow. Without intimacy, relationships become shallow, like two people living side by side, but never truly meeting at the soul level. Overcoming this weakness requires courage. It means risking openness. Even when it feels scary, it means saying, "I'm afraid," "I need you," or "I love you." even when pride wants to stay silent. Vulnerability is the gateway to the deepest form of love. Without it, relationships remain half-lived. 5. Selfishness, love without balance. At the heart of many failed relationships lies selfishness. It's the inability or unwillingness to put the partner's needs alongside one's own. Selfishness might look like always choosing the restaurant, dominating conversations, or ignoring the other person's dreams. At its worst, it's using the relationship for convenience rather than mutual growth. Relationships are partnerships. They thrive on balance, giving and receiving, compromising and supporting. When one person constantly takes while the other constantly gives, resentment grows. The giver eventually burns out, and the taker often doesn't realize the damage until it's too late. Selfishness is insidious because it often hides behind excuses. I'm just busy. You're better at handling it. Or that's just how I am. But behind those excuses lies a refusal to grow. The opposite of selfishness isn't losing yourself, it's empathy. It's the willingness to ask, what do you need? How can I support you? When both partners practice empathy, love expands. When selfishness rules, love shrinks until there's nothing left. Why these weaknesses ruin relationships? Insecurity, poor communication, emotional volatility, fear of vulnerability, and selfishness all share one thing in common. They block intimacy. Intimacy isn't just physical, it's emotional closeness, trust, and the ability to grow together. Without it, relationships lose their spark and stability. What makes these weaknesses dangerous is that they often feel invisible at first. Insecurity looks like affection. Poor communication looks like peace. Emotional volatility looks like passion. Fear of vulnerability looks like independence. Selfishness looks like confidence. Only with time do these patterns reveal their cost. How to break free from these weaknesses? Awareness is the first step. If you recognize yourself in any of these weaknesses, don't despair. Every person has blind spots. Growth begins when we admit them. For insecurity, work on building inner confidence through self-reflection, hobbies, and self-care. For poor communication, practice active listening and honest expression. For emotional volatility, learn grounding techniques like pausing before reacting. For fear of vulnerability, take small risks in opening up. And for selfishness, practice empathy daily. Remember, relationships are mirrors. They show us not just who our partner is, but who we are. Every weakness we face is an opportunity to grow stronger, not just for the relationship, but for ourselves. Relationships don't fail because of lack of love. They fail because psychological weaknesses eat away at the foundation until nothing solid remains. The good news is that every weakness can become a strength if we're willing to confront it. So the question isn't, do I have these weaknesses? Because in some form, we all do. The real question is, am I willing to work on them? Love isn't about being perfect, it's about being committed to growth together. If you found this video helpful, take a moment to reflect. Which of these 5 weaknesses has shown up in your relationships? And what can you do to change it starting today? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. And don't forget, like this video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe for more content on psychology, relationships, and personal growth. Love is a journey, and with the right tools, it's one worth taking.